Welcome to the Day 15 We Are Ready video. We are almost all the way through the 16 video series to help you prep for the ISTEP. We are ready. We are going to war with the ISTEP and we are going to defeat it. Number one is a problem that comes up most years. We have the Pythagorean Theorem, only the side lengths are not nice numbers. It doesn't change how we approach the problem. We are going to look at the hypotenuse and the legs, and we're going to set up the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So, in this case, that would be x squared plus 1 1/5 squared equals 3 1/2 squared. Now, folks, mixed numbers don't actually happen in algebra, so we do not deal with them very often. However, it is possible. This would be on the calculator portion if it's on the test. And in that case, we have to know how to use the calculator. So if we go to the graphing calculator that you'll have available, it is possible to type in 1 1/5 squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in 1 1/5. Now the way that we do that is the fraction button is hidden under alpha y. In there you'll see n over d, un over d. Mixed number is un over d. So we would hit 2 because that's the second thing in the menu. That gives us our boxes to work with. So we want 1, arrow up, 1/5. Okay? That's how we enter a mixed number. So let's do that again, and this time let's do it right. Okay? So we're going to put that in parentheses. So alpha y 2, 1 1/5, close, squared. Enter. That is 36 over 25. So we're going to go back over here and we're going to say x squared plus 36 over 25 equals. Now we're going to enter the other one. So 3 1/2. Alpha y, option 2, 3 1/2 squared. Enter. Is 49 over 4. Now folks, you are allowed to ask your proctor how to do that. All you have to do is write down on your scratch paper 3 1/2 squared and then ask your proctor, how do I put this in the calculator? That is a question they are allowed to answer. But they can't tell you you have to square that. They can only tell you how to input things in the calculator. So then we would, if we're solving this, we would move those numbers to one side by subtracting 36 over 25 from each side. Again, that can be accomplished on here. We've already got 49 over 4 pulled up, so we're going to hit minus alpha y equals. Now we want an improper fraction, so we want option 1. And we are subtracting that 36 over 25. So we type in 36, arrow down, 25, enter. That is 1081 over 100. So x squared equals 1081 over 100. And then we would be taking the square root. Now folks, you're welcome to try to do that on the calculator. It's not going to like it because 1081 doesn't have a perfect square root. So if you try to take the square root of that, which you absolutely can try, what we're going to do there is we're going to hit second x squared to get the square root, and then second minus to input the last answer. When you hit enter, it's going to give you a decimal approximation, which is probably fine. So we would round that off to whatever the problem told us to round off to. Let's say it said to the nearest hundredth. That would be 32.88 units. And that would be our answer. Okay, moving on. So here we have a system of equations. It says, which statement describes the first step of solving this problem? Now, first of all, That's not how they would word it on the ISTEP. They would say, which statement describes an appropriate first step of solving this problem? Because, folks, there are multiple ways to solve this problem. So if we look at these options, the first option says add these equations together. Well, we wouldn't add these equations together unless it would eliminate something. And as you notice, neither the x nor the y would cancel. That is not the correct first step. Then it says multiply the first equation by -4. Well, if we did that, that would give us a new first equation of -8x minus 4y equals -56. That would not lead to a system of equations that would set up for elimination, because these would both be -4y's. That is also not the correct answer. Second one says multiply the second equation by -1. That would make this -3, +4, -5. That would not lead to elimination either. The only one here that would lead to elimination is if we multiplied the first equation by 4. That would turn the first equation into something that we could actually use. That would turn it into 8x plus 4y equals 14. And when we pair that with the second equation, 3x minus 4y equals 5, that would lead to elimination. So answer D is the correct answer for number 2. Okay, the third question, and maybe even the last one on this worksheet. No, there's a back. Okay. Asks us to determine whether the underlined phrase is representing an independent variable, you know, an x, an input, or a dependent variable. So it's asking whether it's independent or dependent. Is it domain or range? So you want to see which type of fertilizer helps plants grow the fastest. So you add a different brand of fertilizer to each plant and see how tall they grow. Well, the fertilizer is what you're controlling, and how tall they grow is what you're measuring. So fertilizer would be your input, this would be your input, and the height would be the output, meaning that this is a dependent variable. Second one says you're interested in how rising sea temperatures impact algae life, so you design an experiment that measures the number of algae in a sample of water taken from a specific ocean site under varying temperatures. So you are counting the output, number of algae, that's an output, which means the underlined section would be an input, that is domain value, that is the independent variable. That's what you cannot control, is the sea, or what you cannot. That is what is influencing the population, is the temperature. So that's the input, the independent variable, the x value. Finally, you want to compare brands of paper towels to see which one holds the most liquid. Again, you're controlling what brand of paper towels, and you're measuring how much liquid it holds. That would be an independent variable. Moving on to the back side of this worksheet. Number 4 gives you an equation of the line of best fit, y equals 1.2x plus 40. Says which of the following statements best represents the meaning of the slope for this scatter plot. So first of all, the slope is 1.2. And the units for that is in test score per minute. Okay, points per minute. So when we're looking at this, it says the slope is the score increases 40 points per minute steadied. 40, that's the B, not M. So that is not the correct answer. Same thing for D. The slope is not 40. So that should get eliminated immediately. Looking at slope represents the test score increases 1.2 minutes for each point scored, or is it 1.2 minutes for each minute steadied? Well, the units are points per minute. So that means the correct answer is C. We don't even really need to know anything other than the points is the y and the time is the x. And slope is always change in y over change in x. So that would be in points per minute, not minutes per point. All right, number 5 is the final one. This would be on the calculator free section if it appears on the ISTEP, and that is how to reduce a square root. So the square root of 20 in simplified form, 20 is not a perfect square. So when we take the square root, 20 is not a number that ends up being a rational answer. So what we would do is we'd say, okay, well 20 is not a perfect square, but 4 is, and 20 is divisible by 4. Then we'd say, okay, the square root of 4 is 2, so the square root of 20 would be 2 root 5, or C. That does it for the day 15 video.